Today, we're going to be talking about some accessibility features, and I'm not going to go over all of them. There's just a lot of accessibility features, and there's some that we all pretty much know. So what I tried to do is just find some hidden gems that are actually quite nice. So we're going to be taking a look at accessibility options on the Mac, the iPad, the iPhone, and even the Apple Watch. There's a couple of good ones for the Apple Watch as well. So let's get started and get going with this meeting. You don't want to see my green screen, so there we go. All right, the first one that we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to jump around here a little bit. I tried to group these as subject more as opposed to devices. So the first thing that we're going to look at is how we can increase the cursor size on our Mac to make it easier to see, as well as even change the color. So the way that we do that is we just need to go over to, and I am using Mac OS Ventura. I believe the color change was Mac OS Ventura, but anyway, it might be a couple of OSs, but if you're using a really old OS, you might not be able to have this option. But anyway, I go down to my system settings, and you'll have to ignore my little blue circle here that I'm zooming in on. That is not an accessibility option. That is a separate app that I use to highlight different things. So that's just called Cursor Pro. You're going to see it up here. So if you want to look at that, that's in the App Store. But what I'm going to be looking at here is under accessibility. And what you're going to see here under display, and as you can see, there's a lot of options here. What we have here is pointer. And under pointer, you're going to see that we have our pointer size. And watch what happens when I drag the slider over here to the right. You're going to see that my cursor is getting larger. And this is actually how I should keep it, so it's easy to see as I point at different things. So I'm just going to make it a little bit large here, maybe not quite that large. So makes it a little bit easier to see. Also, what we're able to do is fill in both the outline and the fill. By default, what it is, it's a white outline, so you can see that behind a colored, over top of a colored background, you can easily see that pointer. But, excuse me, what we're able to do is outline, change the color of the fill and the outline. So let's go ahead and make this a different color. And we're going to go with orange here. And now we can see that that cursor has an orange outline with a green highlight. So depending on what you're doing, you may want to change the color as well as increase the pointer size. Probably increasing the pointer size is the biggest thing. And if you want to go back to normal, you just go to reset colors, and now it's back at reset colors. You may have noticed that when I do change the color, let's go ahead and change this color here. You're going to see that it didn't actually change. Let's try it again. It didn't actually change the color of that cursor, but watch what happens when I bring it outside here. You can see that the border, the outline is now green, but when I bring it back into system preferences, it keeps it at white. So if you're changing the color, you won't see the actual changes until you move your cursor outside of the system settings or preferences. So I go here, and it's just black and white, but here you're going to see it changes the color. So that is a little bit, when you first do it and you're like, it's not changing the color, remember to move your cursor outside. Also, there is a really nice feature, one that I use on a daily basis. Where is it? It's shake mouse pointer to locate the mouse, especially when you have multiple monitors. For us, I have multiple monitors. You don't know where that cursor is. So what you can do is you can shake it. So if I have a trackpad, so I just shake it like this, that cursor is going to grow in size. It is on by default, and they've added that a few OSs ago, but basically it's just, you want to make sure that that's turned on. And if you ever lose the mouse, all you have to do is just shake it. If you have a mouse, you shake the mouse. If you have a trackpad, just wiggle your finger on that trackpad really quick, and then you can easily find that the cursor. In the chat there, I see it's called Cursor Pro. So that's how you can increase the size of the cursor on the Mac to make it a little bit easier to see. Another feature that I use on the Mac on a regular basis, and I actually learned this over at Apple. We use this over at Apple a lot. Zoom into the display on the Mac. So what do I mean by that? Well, when I was over at Apple, and what we needed to do was look at a serial number, or we're on our main computers checking someone in, and I could be 6 feet away from my computer, the Apple's computer, and I need to read something with it. Well, what I'd have to do is walk back over to that computer. It'd be really nice if I could just zoom into the display. Well, if we go over to Zoom here, what you're going to see when you turn this on, there's a right down here, use scroll gesture. This is the one that I like to use. When I turn this on, and it's set for control by default, watch what happens when I hold down the control key and I scroll up on my trackpad. So I'm going to hold down the control key and I scroll up. I'm zooming in. So this is what I would do when I was, I needed to see something, and that Apple's display was, 6 feet away from me. I could easily zoom in. And then if I hold down the control key, hold down the control key, I'm able to zoom back out. So let's say I needed to see what these settings here were, and I'm a little bit away. Move my cursor over top of it, hold down the control key, and then all I'm doing is just swiping up on the trackpad with 2 fingers, just your typical scroll gesture. And now I just swipe back down and it goes back out. I could be in any app. So a great app where this comes in handy is the Maps app. We have these streets here. I can't read those streets, especially if I don't have my readers, right? Well, if I zoom in, the street name still stays small. I'm just pinching and zooming. That doesn't help me at all. But when I hold down the control key and I swipe, look at that. I get really nice, crisp 22nd and 23rd Street. I can see everything there. I hold down the control key, zoom back out, and now I'm back to where I was. So that is under Zoom in your accessibility. And there's a lot of different options here, but basically what I would do is I would turn on the use scroll gesture, and then I leave it at the default control key. And what you're able to do also is set if you want it to be a window or display. I like to have it full screen, but you could put it to a picture-in-picture. So now when I zoom, you can see it's a picture-in-picture. It's not actually zooming, the whole display. But on the Mac, I like to have it as full screen, and I can just go in there and zoom in, zoom back out. Makes it really, really easy. Now we can do the same thing on the iPad and iPhone. So this is where I'm going to switch gears. We can zoom into the display on the on both of those devices as well. So let's go over to my iPad first. And basically all we need to do, I do have an iPad Pro. It's running iPad OS 16, although this has been around for a while. So even if you use older versions of iPad OS, it still will work. But I do have an iPad Pro. Doesn't really matter what version, what iPad you have, and I am using a smart keyboard. So I just go down to my settings here. And again, we need to go to our accessibility. This is the one nice thing about Apple and changing their system preferences to settings. Things are starting to be the same across all of the different devices. I go over to Zoom, just like I did on the Mac. And then what we do is we turn on Zoom here. So I'm going to turn this on. And now you can see that it zoomed in. So how do oh, you can't see that on there. I'm sorry. So this isn't going to work out as well as I thought. Let me go over to my overhead here so you can see it, my messy desk. But you can kind of see here where it's zoomed in. And what you do is you double tap with 3 fingers so I just would double tap on here. 1, 2, it zooms out. 1, 2, it zooms in. And then I can drag around to get to the other screens. So unfortunately, I can't really show that just how the iPad works. But what I can do when I go over to my iPad here, and I used to use this a little bit, what we can do is we can go to the zoom region. So it was doing a full screen zoom. On the iPad, I like to have it as a window zoom. Remember that window zoom on the Mac? Well, now when I double tap with 3 fingers, you're going to see, oh, it doesn't show it there, does it? Wow,
No.
they changed that. I used to be able to show that. Now it's not showing it. So I'll just show you on my overhead here. What it does is I have a little window there, and you can kind of see that I'm zooming in. And then if I double tap with 3 fingers, it goes away. So I just double tap. There it is. I can zoom in and out on it, set the zoom level, read whatever I want, and zoom back out. We have the same thing on the iPhone. Of course, it won't work as well as I was hoping, but if I go over to my iPhone here, and we go to accessibility here, and I turn it on. Now when it is zoomed in, so I'm just going to go over my overhead here. Hopefully, there it is. And you're going to see, well, you can't really see, but basically it's zoomed in. It works the same way as what it does on the iPad. So that's a nice way to zoom in. If you can't read something on the iPhone, well, all you have to do is just go into that zoom. Well, here's where we can go to the Apple Watch. We also have the same feature on the Apple Watch. So I'm going to go over to my Watch app. It's much easier to access this from the Watch app. So I'm in my Watch app here on my iPhone. And what we do is we go over to our accessibility here, and you're going to see we have zoom up towards the top. So I tap on zoom there, and all I have to do is just turn that on. And you're going to see it says, you can see that double tap 2 fingers to zoom. So that's basically what you have to do. You just double tap with 2 fingers to zoom on the Apple Watch. So now let's go over to my Apple Watch, and you're going to see how this actually works. And it really works nice on the Apple Watch. So here's my Apple Watch, and let's go over to the weather. Now, these temperatures can get pretty small if if I don't have my readers on, so I can't read that. So what do? I double tap with 2 fingers. And we can see that it's zoomed. Oh, you can't see that. Well, shoot, I should have tried all this. So I will show you here, hopefully. There, we can see that it's zoomed in. And all I have to do is just scroll with the digital crown to go through it. And then I double tap. And it goes back out. So all you have to do is just double tap on it, and you can use 2 fingers to scroll around on it, but they really did a nice job with that scroll wheel, the digital crown. And all you have to do is just take that digital crown and just scroll it up and down. And what it'll do is it'll just kind of scroll through everything that's on the Apple Watch. So if you get a text message, you can't read it, which happens to me quite a bit. I can't read it because I don't take my readers with me. So basically, I can double tap on that when I'm looking at my messages. It'll zoom in, and then I can use the digital crown to actually just scroll through the message and read the entire message, even if it's a novel. My wife likes to, what I call, write novel texts. They're really long, paragraph or 2. All I have to do is just take that digital crown and I can scroll through them. So that's a nice little nice touch for the Apple Watch when you can't read it, because as we're all getting older and the eyes are getting older, makes it a little bit tougher to read. It's one of the big reasons I do have an Apple Watch Ultra. And probably the 2 main reasons why I got it, it's not like I'm a diver or anything like that, a bigger display. And I do love the longer battery life, but outside of that, I use it just like any other Apple Watch would. All right, so that is Zoom on the Apple Watch. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to show it exactly how I want it, but you get the idea. And all you have to do is just go over to your accessibility in the settings app, and then you can go and set the zoom level and everything else. So nice little touch with that.
Dan,
Yes.
China is in distress. China, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi, Thank you. I turned on the Zoom on my iPhone and everything became large. Now I want to turn it off and turn it back to its original. And I'm unable
Yep.
to locate anything.
Double tap with 3 fingers. This is key. So if you just double tap on the iPhone with 3 fingers, it'll zoom back out.
Well, that seems not to be the case. Oh, there we go. Okay, now should I go in and turn it off?
Yeah, then you can go in there and turn it off. Yes. Yep.
Thank you so much.
But that's key. And and I'm glad you brought that up. That is key, because when I first started using this, it does. You're like, what did it do? And I can't get out of it. The key to making this work is double tap with 2 fingers. You don't want to forget that, because otherwise it's going to be, I think you can also just restart it or whatever and it'll go, but it will just go into that Zoom level and you're not sure where to go. Double tap with 2 fingers, it'll do it. So, any other questions?
Yeah.
Heidi, you weren't next.
I'm a little confused. You're now away from the watch, you're on the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And you've gone into settings, accessibility, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Turned on Zoom.
This is for the iPhone, not for the Apple Watch.
Right, iPhone. So you double tap when you're on things and it'll get bigger. But to turn it off, you tap.
Double tap again.
Oh, double tap again, not 3 fingers.
Yep.
Double tap again. Okay, thank you.
Double tap with 3 fingers to turn it on. Double tap with 3 fingers to turn it off.
Oh, it's a double tap with 3 fingers all the
3
time.
fingers. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, double tap with 3 fingers. Sorry, I think I might have said 2, but yes, 3.
You did. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, got it. Okay. Jane Wood, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, Dan. Yes. The thing that was really cool when you pressed Control and scroll up and down to enlarge or minimize, and I'm trying to find where to make that happen, because it's not happening now. But
On the Apple Watch?
No, this is on the MacBook Pro, the new MacBook Pro. And I think
Okay, so on the Mac, what you would do is go over to accessibility, go over to Zoom, and there is no, so use the Control key. So I just have these 2 features on. I do not turn on this Zoom here, because that can get into, you can use that, but I just like to have these 2 features on. Use scroll gestures, and then I use the Control key, and that is it. So now all I have to do is hold down the Control key. So when I go here, see here, I'm holding down the Control key here. And when I swipe up, you're going to see that my Mac is zooming in and out just with 2 fingers.
perfect. Just needed
So
to know
that's,
where to
yeah, if you turn on the Zoom here, you can do some other things, but it's kind of like back on the iPad and the iPhone and the Apple Watch. I'll turn it on, and then all of a sudden, how do I turn that off again? And it gets a little squirrely. So the scroll gesture is just a beautiful way of doing it. It just hold down the Control key, swipe up, swipe down, 2 fingers, or with a mouse.
I love it.
All right,
thank you. I really like it. Yeah.
Thank you for your question, Jane. Sandy, you are having problems. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I can turn Zoom on at the accessibility place, but when I try to do double tapping with 3 fingers, doesn't seem to work.
What you might need to do is go Zoom controller, just let's see here, the focus or let's see here, double tap, boom, boom. There it is.
If I turn on the Zoom.
What I would do is go to turn it on for Windows Zoom and see if you get the little square. And then see, it just might not be zoomed in. And what you can do is you have a zoom controller, and then you can adjust the zoom level with it. So if I go boom, boom, you can't see this. So I'll go to my overhead here. And hopefully you're going to see this here. So I'm at my overhead here. And now I got the square there. And there, see here, it's a little tricky to zoom, to set the zoom level, but I wonder if that zoom level is just not high enough. So it looks like it's not really doing anything. So drag, this is the key right up here.
I'm in the controller actions, and if I try to go to zoom in and out, it won't, it's not highlighting.
Zoom controller. And when zoomed out, drag to zoom controller. And I'm not sure what is going on there. Sorry.
Well, let me.
Show while mirroring. Will that work? There it is. Show while mirroring. So now I can show it. Sorry, people. So that's it. When I zoom out, and here you're going to see I have maximum zoom level. So swipe up on this, and now when I see, if this is all the way down, it doesn't zoom. Well, it will there, but this is my maximum zoom level. So I wonder if that is not set properly. But, and then the other thing you want to do, you're going to see right up here, now that I can use this, this is the tricky part. Double tap 3 fingers and drag to change zoom. That's tricky. So I double tap with 3 fingers, 1, 2, and now I can just drag up and down. And you're going to see there's no zoom there because I dragged all the way down. It's not, when I double tap, it's not zooming because I just don't have the magnification set. So what I do is I double tap, I'll go to my overhead here. So I double tap here, 3 fingers. And now when I double tap again, there it goes, double tap, and I drag up and down. You're going to see, hopefully you can see that. Now I'll go back over to my iPad here, and you're going to see that it is zooming in and out. All I'm doing is just dragging those 3 fingers up and down. But it's a little tricky, and the key to making that work, here's that zoom region. The key to making this work is that right there. Double tap, 3 fingers, and drag to change zoom. It's going to take a little practice, but once you get that set, what you're able to do is zoom in and out and change the magnification. I wonder if that's what it is. So,
I'll have to work with it.
yeah.
All right. Let us know what happens, Sandy.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Go ahead, Don. Dan's all yours.
Yep. All right. So the next thing is, and no, it does not affect the print quality. I saw that in the chat. So the next thing we're going to look at is, this is an old one. It's an oldie but a goodie. Use your iPhone as a magnifier. So again, you can see I'm focusing on stuff that I use. I have readers. My eyes are not that good. So when I'm reading a menu, I can't read that menu. Most people know that I like to go for a good beer, and basically, I'm not able to read what anything about the beer or anything like that. So what you can do is you can use the iPhone as a magnifier. And then what you can do is, take a picture of something. And this is not a photo. You don't do this in the Photos app. There's actually some other tricks when you use the magnifier. So what we need to do is go into our accessibility settings here. And when we swipe up, what you're going to see at the very bottom here is accessibility shortcut. So what I do is I set my magnifier as an accessibility shortcut. So the accessibility shortcut, what happens here is if I double tap the side button or triple click the side button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a choice of what I can control here, what I can use here. So I have the magnifier and background sounds. So when I triple click the side button, watch what happens. 1, 2, 3. I get, you can't see it again. Got a lot of this stuff when I do my screen sharing. So I'll go to my overhead here. And I get, you can't see it right down there. I get a choice of what I want to use. And this says magnifier here. So I just go to the magnifier. And now my iPhone is a magnifier. It's supposed to be. Let me see what is going on here. That is not what I want. And camera, video source. Let's go with 12. That's what this is. There we are. All right. A little bit off there, but that's all right. Camera G. Try that one. Nope. Camera. Oh, it lost its camera. Okay. Anyway, I got it here. iPhone 12. It's a little off. The framing is a little off on it, but you get the idea. So essentially, I don't know why I lost it, but when I go to triple click on the side button, 1, 2, 3, I get that little magnifier there. And with that magnifier, what I'm able to do is tap on it. This is not the Photos app. And what I'm able to do is take a picture of whatever I'm looking at. So I have this little guide here for LED lights. There's no way that I can read this thing. This is the instructions for it. So now what I do is I just go and I have a filter on it. So let's go and remove that filter. Default, there it is. So it's, just like a regular camera, but what I'm able to do is take a picture, hit the shutter just like normal. There's a picture of it. And you're going to see I have a slider here and I can zoom in and read that. I can apply a filter to it. I hit the little sun thing there. I can adjust the brightness, go over to the filter. I can make it black and white. Apply, depending on if you're colorblind or anything like that. You can go and adjust the color. So let's just go make it black and white to make it a little bit easier to read. And now I can easily read that. And it doesn't save it in the camera roll, which is really nice. So all I have to do is just tap on the X and I can take another one. You can see I still have the filter on there that is in color, but I have the filter on there. And I just go in here and I can zoom in and out, take a picture of it, read it, and then I discard it. It doesn't save it in the Photos app. Also, you can take multiple pictures. So we've been to those restaurants where we have a large menu, where you fold it out and it hits the person sitting next to you. So what you can do is take multiple pictures. You can see I have 2 squares in the lower left-hand corner. It's kind of cut off because my framing is off. What that does is that allows me to take multiple pictures. So now what I'm able to do is take this and I can go here, and then I go here. I turn the page. I go here and I go here, and you're going to see it says view 4. So I tap on view, and now what I'm able to do is view that menu or whatever. And again, it does not save it in the Photos app. And if I wanted to make it color, I can do that. I can pinch to zoom in, all the good stuff that you can do. But it is designed as a magnifier, not as a photo. So you have a few extra things that you can do. And when you are done, all you have to do is just tap on end in the upper left-hand corner here. And it brings you back. And now we're back in single photo mode, and I can go and take more pictures of another menu or anything like that. So that is a magnifier. It's been around for a long time, and it works great. And I like to set that up as an accessibility shortcut. So that.
But Dan, you also would want to know it is in the control center.
Is it in there by default? Do you know?
Yes.
It is? Okay. So what she is talking about is if you didn't want to use those keyboard shortcut or those accessibility shortcuts, if I go to the control center, I do not have it in my control
Yes, you
center.
do. You're
Is
right
that the
there at the
magnifying
bottom.
glass?
Yes,
That one?
bottom right. Yes,
There we go. All right. So thank you, Sheeta.
you're
So you can
welcome.
also go to control center and just tap on that. If you do not have it in the control center, maybe you removed it, you can customize a control center just by going over to your settings, and you're going to see control center here. Tap on that, and then from here, what you're able to do is you're going to see I have magnifier in there. So just make sure that that is in there. And then you're able to access that from the control center as well. So then you don't have to use that accessibility shortcut. So.
All right. And I also want to note there are a few people who did also note that in the chat. So yes, everyone, we're on the same page. Okay. All right, go ahead. Can you take some questions on this?
Yeah, go for it. Yep.
All right,
Mhm.
Frank, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Frank Salvatore?
Yeah. I see on your demonstration, I see 6 dots on what.
That's just that is on the far right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Oh.
just a decoration of my thing. So you can ignore that. I should actually probably just remove that. It's nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's intended.
Thanks for telling me, because I just kind of put in there. It's like, yeah, just something. There's nothing on that side. I'll put something there. Now I know that it's
maybe if they
people
were
might think
faded.
it's something.
Yeah, maybe if they were faded. I do want to note your screen is out of alignment. Do you see that?
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that.
Okay.
That's where. Yep.
All right. Just hey, now that we know, we're good. Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else?
You can also turn on the
Success.
torch. So, I'm sorry.
Success. He aligned it.
Okay. Edwin Doherty, can you please unmute yourself and make your comment?
I just want to say the magnifier app, there is a button on it where you can turn on, in essence, the flashlight in the back. So if you are photographing a menu, say in the dark, it's not creating a flash like the camera app would. You know, it's just constantly on, which is going to be less annoying.
Yep. Thank you. So yes, with you're going to see that when I tap on the gear here. So these are controls across the bottom here. And when I tap on the gear, what I'm able to do is change what controls are in there. And what Ed is talking about, Ed, is it Edwin or Ed?
Edwin, yes. Mm-hmm.
Edwin. So we have the flashlight here, which I have added as my secondary controls. So what I'm able to do is go over to the flashlight here, torch, and you're going to see that it is on. You can see a little bit of the glare there, right in here. And you can go and take a photo of something without having, without having a flash or anything like that. And then I can tap on it to turn it off. So yes, you can add that in there as well. Mm-hmm. How do I get rid of that? You just swipe up and you're back at your home screen. Just swipe up. It's just another app. So, mm-hmm.
How do you get rid of the magnifier picture? Heidi, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, I took the picture, but I did it from the control screen because I already had the magnifier then. So I have this picture there now on my iPhone. How do I get how do I get rid of it? I have
so I'll take a picture here.
I have an
So
iPhone
you have the
8
picture.
Plus.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
So if you're going to see, I have an X. Tap
But
on the X.
I don't see an X in mine. I just see the picture. It says magnifier and the picture's
So
under.
do you just have that? So if you tap on the screen, the controls come back.
I
Do you
don't
see any controls?
no. Yeah.
All I'm doing is just tapping on the screen.
Okay, yes, and then there's the X down there. So
there's
just
the
tap on
X,
that
yep.
X. It's in the
You just, yep.
circle. Okay, got it. Got
Yeah,
it.
you just had the controls. You just had the controls hidden, so it didn't. It wasn't
How did
able to.
I just had to tap to get back to the controls. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Dan, all yours.
All right. The next thing we're going to look at is how we can change the text size for individual apps. I think this was covered a while ago, but I think it's a nice one to take another look at. And this is on the iPad and iPhone. I believe this is coming to the Mac as well. Apple made an announcement for new accessibility options. And one of them is we can change the text size for multiple apps on the Mac. But it is not, I'm going to assume that's coming with the next Mac OS. But basically, we know that like when we go over to the iPad here, I'll just pick on the iPad, but the iPhone works the same way. What we're able to do is change the text size. So I just go larger text here, turn this on, drag this, and we can see that the text is getting larger. Okay, that's kind of nice, but it changes it for every app. Maybe what you want to do is you want to change it for an individual app. So you just need the, maybe the developer has some small text and you want to make it a little bit larger for one specific app. Well, you can do that as well. I'm going to turn this back off. The way that we do that is we need to go to our control center. So I just swipe down from the upper right-hand corner, my iPad Pro, and then you're going to see that I have these double A's here. When I tap on that, that allows me to adjust the text size, just like I was doing before. But you're going to see down towards the bottom here, I have settings only. What this will do when I tap on this is this will only change the text size in the settings app. This is the app that I have open. This is why it says settings. So if I had, I'm going to go back to all apps. If I had the Notes app open and I want to change the text size, you're going to see that now it says Notes, because now I would only be changing the text size in my Notes app. And you can see it's changing in the background there, but it's only for the Notes app. So let's go ahead and make this really big, and we can see it's nice and large. I go back over to my settings app. It's the normal size. How do we reset it? Well, all we have to do is just go back over to the Notes app. And let's say I no longer want to have it that large. I just go back to my control center, tap on the double A's, and all you have to do, don't change the text size here. You could just go and change this to 100%, but you're still controlling that app individually. If you want it to be controlled with all of your other apps, if I put this down to 100% and I go back into the settings app and change the text size, it's not going to change the text size of the Notes app because I'm still setting it for my Notes only. If I want it to be changed with all of the other apps, what I need to do is go over to all apps. Now it just reset it and it's going to be changed along with all of the other apps. So you can set it up individually and then don't change it back to 100% for the individual. Go back over to the all apps. And you can do the same thing on the iPhone. It basically works the same way. We go to our control center and we just tap on the double A's. If you do not have those double A's in there, I'll cover this again because I don't remember what's in there by default because I make so many changes. But if we go into our settings app here, you're going to see I have Control Center here, and I have my included controls. If it's not included, if you can't find it, it may not be included in here. So what you need to do is I'm going to remove it here. It's no longer in my Control Center. So what I need to do is go up here, go over to text size. I add it. Now it is added in my included controls, and there it is. So you may need to add that. And then once I tap on that, I'm able to go and set it for settings or whatever app I'm in, or all of the apps. So that's how we can change the text size for individual apps in addition to just everything. Let's take a look at some of these other options for the display and text size, because there's actually a lot in here, and I'm not going to go into full detail for them, but we go to accessibility and we go to display and text size here. And first thing is we can make bold text. And what I would recommend doing is you can do this on the Apple Watch too. I have my text as bold on the Apple Watch. So you can go into accessibility settings on your Apple Watch or on the Watch app on the iPhone and do the same thing. I like to, if you want to, at least on the Apple Watch, I make this as large as possible. I do have to scroll a little bit, but I can read it. But we have our larger text here. We can add button shapes. It doesn't actually add button shapes, but what it does do is adds little indicators. You're going to see I have a little underline underneath accessibility. So that kind of tells me that it is a button. It back 10 years ago when the iPhone was, or 15 years ago, whenever the iPhone was introduced, it actually did put shapes in there, but now they just kind of put little indicators in there. But on off labels, this puts the 0 and the 1, so you can actually kind of see. You're going to see it says a 0 there. I tap on it, and now all of the switches have a little 0 there. If it's on, it has an I. We can reduce the transparency. This brings a little more contrast. So you can just tap on that and it adds a little more contrast. We can also increase the contrast. We have color filters, people that are colorblind, and then auto brightness. Now with auto brightness, why you may want to turn that off is the brighter the display is, in some cases, depending on the condition of your eyes, if it's a little bit dimmer, the contrast goes away and it's a little harder to read. So what you may want to do is, turn off auto brightness and keep it at a specific brightness level. So you could do that as well. So those are some other controls that we have in with the iPad, and you have the same thing on the iPhone as well. So, I didn't talk about this. So I see in the chat, we can increase the icon size. So that is a zoom level. So if I go over to display and brightness, you're going to see down towards the bottom here, I have display zoom. And what this will do is this will show larger text, or you're going to see, can't really see it too much there, but it does make the icons larger and the text for the apps a little bit larger, but it doesn't actually adjust the text size of the apps. That's what I talked about earlier. So you can adjust the zoom of your icons. I do have it for larger. So when I demonstrate my iPad here, the icons are a little bit larger. If you were to look at a standard iPad, the icons will be a little bit smaller. So all you have to do is just go over to your display and brightness. This is not available on all iPads, so you may not have it depending on which iPad you have. But you just go over here to display zoom and you can make the icons a little bit larger. They are coming out with a new accessibility option. They just announced this again the other day, where you are actually going to be able to simplify apps. So the camera app, we all know that the camera app has a lot of controls, messages. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can do. Well, a lot of people don't want to deal with that extra stuff. All they want to do is take a photo. All they want to do is use the messages. So they simplified this, and you're going to see this in the next version of iPadOS and iOS. You can just, and actually the icon view for the home screen here is going to be a list on the iPhone. It doesn't even have the icons in the typical thing. It's going to be a list. So they just announced that. We haven't, they haven't released it yet, but some more changes are coming with accessibility with that. So assistive touch. We're going to take a quick look at assistive touch here. So I go over, you're going to see that I have this little icon over here. This is assistive touch. And what I'm able to do when I tap on it is, oops, that's the zoom. Sorry, wrong thing. Accessibility. Let's turn the zoom off so we don't have that. I don't want to confuse everyone. And what we're going to do is go over to touch here. There's some neat controls here in touch. The first one here is assistive touch. When I turn this on, you're going to see down at the bottom here, I have this little icon. And when I tap on it, what I'm able to do is go to the control center just by tapping on control center. I can go to Siri. I have the home button. So I just tap on home and it takes me over to the home screen. I want to go to the control center. I tap on this and I go to the control center. So this is what assistive touch is. Tap on it again, it goes away. And I can move this around as well. It doesn't go into the middle. It sticks to the sides, as you can see. But what we're able to do is move that around, and you can use that to kind of navigate your iPad. towards the end, I'll show you how you can do this from an iPhone. You can actually use these same controls on your iPhone to control your iPad. If your iPad was 6 feet away or something like that, you're watching a movie, you want to stop a movie, you want to change the volume on the iPad, you don't want to get up. Well, you can actually do that through your iPhone. So I'll show you that shortly. So that is, the assistive touch. Pretty simple to use. You just go and turn it on and you have the button there. I turn it off, it goes away. So we also have in here a couple of other nice little tricks. On the iPhone, what we're able to do, let me get to the right iPhone here. Yep. On the iPhone, what we're able to do here is tap to wake it. So if I go over to accessibility and we go back over to our touch, what we have here is tap to wake. So if my iPhone is asleep, with this being on, if I want to wake it, all I have to do is just tap it and the screen wakes up. And being that I'm using Face ID, if I look at it, I can just swipe up and go to any of my apps. But if you have an iPhone that is not always on, the newer iPhones are always on. Or if you have an iPhone that you turn that off to save battery, what you can do is just tap on your screen to wake it up. We're also able to set the response time for taps on the iPad and iPhone. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you have a hard time with tapping the iPhone, and what I mean by that is you accidentally tap things. All you're trying to do is just go somewhere and whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. You just tap and all of a sudden it just goes. So what we're able to do is set, I think it's under, yep, it's under touch accommodations. So we're under touch here, and then we go to touch accommodations. And what we're able to do is set the hold duration. So when I turn this on, and I do have to turn this on up here too. So now it's both on. Now, if I wanted to go to swipe gestures, watch what happens. I tap on it, it's not doing anything. I'll tap and hold, it's not doing anything. And you're going to see there's a little clockwise thing there. I have it set for the longest point, not almost a second. Let's just say it's a second. The only way that I can turn on swipe gestures here is if I hold this for a second and then it goes. I want to go back. I go up to back here, right? If I just tap, it's not going to go anywhere. So I can't accidentally tap anything. I have to tap and hold. And now I'm able to go back. Tap and hold on touch, I'm able to go back. I want to turn this off. What I have to do is I have to tap and hold, and now I'm able to turn it off. So if you accidentally tap something, and I wouldn't set it for the for 0.95 seconds, that's a long time unless you really need to, but you can set that just so you have to hold it just slightly longer. So then that will prevent those accidental taps. So you could set it for just, a 10th of a second or a 20th of a second. And then you won't, it'll hopefully what it'll do is it'll reduce the amount of times that you accidentally tap something. That might be good for, which I don't understand how I do it, and recently I've actually butt dialed a couple of people on my iPhone. I have no idea how I've done it, but this might have helped out in that regard. So, and you can, I believe, let's see here. If we go back over to the iPad, we do not have, if I go to touch, it doesn't have the same, it might be dwell, but, basically the iPhone is really where you would use that, setting there. We can also have our iPad and iPhone. This is relatively new, and what they actually added is you can add custom sounds. So I believe they added this last year, and this year they added you can add your own sounds. You can listen for background sounds. So when I go over to my accessibility here and we swipe up, you're going to see sound recognition. And basically, when you turn this on, what you're able to do is have your iPad or your iPhone, both of them work the same way. You're able to set it to listen for specific sounds. So if I set this for, we have a couple of cats and they start meowing. If I turn this on, when a cat starts meowing, my iPad will give me a notification that there's a cat meowing. You could set it for fire, screen. You could set it for baby crying, coughing, sneezing, or shouting, I'm sorry. But you could set it for sneezing, because what you're also able to do is customize your own alarms. So on my iPhone, what I did yesterday to try this out is I went to sound recognition here and turn it on. Sounds. You're going to see that I have, oh, it's not there. I do have a custom microwave. There it is. Microwave timer. That is not something that Apple added. I added it myself. So what you do is you go over here to custom appliance or doorbell. So Beth, our washer and dryer, it plays a sound when the washer is done. What she would be able to do is record that sound. And then when the iPhone probably, well, she has pretty good hearing. I do not have good hearing. The iPhone would probably has better hearing than I do, and it would alert me when it hears that sound. Now, obviously, if it's in a different floor or something like that, you know, you have to take it with a grain. It uses the microphone. But what you are able to do is go and customize this. So I can go and add my own sound. Basically, what you do is you just play the sound 5 times. They step you through it. But if you have a specific sound that you wanted to listen to, all you have to do is just go over here, add a custom alarm, record it 5 times. It does take about 5-10 minutes for Apple to analyze it, or the iPhone to analyze it. And then what you're able to do is use that. So now if we use a microwave timer, if that microwave timer goes off, I'm going to get a notification saying that the timer went off. So you can have it listen to background sounds. You can turn this, you know, you may not want this on and off all the time. Well, instead of going to, you know, sound recognition here and our accessibility options, what we are able to do is add this to our control center. So again, we go back over to our control center settings, and we can do this on the iPad. I'm just showing you on the iPhone, but it does work on the iPad as well. And you're going to see in here, sound recognition. If I tap on the little green thing there, in my control center, what I'm able to do is turn on background sounds, turn that on and off. So if I know that we are cooking something and I needed to listen to the microwave, go to my control center, turn it on, done. I no longer wanted to have that. Maybe it's getting some false positives. I turn it back off, and then it won't listen to it, won't do anything. So you would want to add that to your control center. So that's background sounds. Another little trick here is if you have an iPhone or an iPad with Face ID. What we are able to do is change a couple of the settings to make it a little bit more accurate, or I shouldn't say accurate. One way could to make it a little bit easier to recognize your face. It does reduce the security slightly. So you do have to be aware of that. So I'm in my settings app here. This is an iPhone 12, so it has Face ID. And what we need to do is go over to our, where is it? Face ID and passcode. So I'm going to enter it in here. And under Face ID and passcode, the first thing that we can do is we can set up alternate appearances. So the iPhone will learn when I wear glasses and when I don't, if I grow a beard and, you know, things like that. And it can learn over time who you are as you age with the phone. But let's say, it's not really working out that well. Maybe it's not recognizing you when you do have a pair of glasses on, or you have a different pair of glasses on, or, anything like that. What you can do is you can set up alternate appearances. So basically what you're able to do is, set up one with a beard, one without, one with these glasses, one without, one with a hat, one without, anything like that. Or even just set up the same face, just have 2 different things. If it's not working as well, what you may want to do is just scan your face twice, and maybe it'll work just a little bit better that way. You can also do this with Touch ID. You can use, multiple fingers. So you could, if it doesn't work with one finger, maybe you want to use another one. Or what Apple has recommended in the past is set up multiple, if you want to use that same finger all the time with Touch ID, set up multiple fingerprint, things with the same finger. And then hopefully what that will do is that'll make it a little bit easier. But another thing you can do is set it up if you're wearing a mask, kind of getting away from that now. But you do have a few other options here. Require attention for Face ID. You're going to see that I have this turned off. What this will do is this will add an additional level of security. And basically, not only do you have to show your face to the iPhone, but you have to look at it. So if I turn that on, the only way that this thing is going to recognize my face is if my eyes actually look at that camera or at the phone. If my eyes are looking out that way, it will not unlock the phone. So what this can do is when this is turned on, someone's not going to be able to grab your phone while you're sleeping and unlock the phone because your eyes are shut. So, that's what I say. It does add another level of security, but also it does make it a little bit, got to look at the phone, kind of thing to open it up. So, it's just Beth and I here. This is my demo phone. I'm not too concerned, So basically I leave that off on this phone here. And now if I lock the phone, all I have to, I could be looking, let's see, where's my camera? I could be looking, kind of like this, and I don't have to look at the phone. I could be looking away from it and it'll unlock it. So it does make it a little bit easier. Also, we have attention aware features. So the iPhone will go to sleep when we're using it, right? We'll wonder if you're reading. You don't want it to go to sleep. Well, when this is turned on, and I leave this one on, when this is turned on while you're reading or anything like that, the iPhone will see that your eyes are looking at the phone. So what it'll do is it'll prevent it from dimming. It'll prevent it from going to sleep. So if you set this on the table, it'll go to sleep. It'll dim just like normal. But if you hold it in your hand and you're reading something, with that turned on, the iPhone knows you're looking at the phone. It will not go to sleep or dim or anything like that. So what you also may want to do is if you go to change passcode, you can see I have a 4-digit code on here. 4-digit codes are really not, we've had multiple sessions on security. 4-digit codes are really not that secure. So you want to make sure that you use a 6-digit code or even alphanumeric if you can. And always, always, always use your Face ID or Touch ID when you're in public, so no one can see what code you're typing in. So, before the next one is where I'll show how to control nearby devices. So any questions before I show you that cool little trick?
I have a question. Are you going to get into anything regarding voiceover?
I wasn't planning on it because I don't really understand it myself. Have you used it, Sheeta?
I have not, but we do have a question, and Jonathan has been very, very patient through the entire meeting. So I did want to get to his question to see if there was something that you were going to go over.
I only have one thing left, so let's if we can just kind of do this on the fly. Let's see what we got. The last one only takes a few minutes, and I think it's kind of cool where we can control our iPad. But,
all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's do voiceover here. So I'm looking at accessibility here, and I go over to voiceover. With voiceovers, what we're able to do is have the iPhone speak when we select an item. Now, I'm kind of reading this on the fly, so bear with me here. If we double tap something, it'll activate the selected item. So we tap on it to see what or hear what I'm tapping on. We double tap on it to actually activate it. So let's go and see how this works. So I'm going to
voiceover on.
And hopefully you can hear that. Let me turn my...
Yes, we heard it.
You could hear it? Okay, good.
Yes.
So we have our speaking rate.
Speaking rate,
Okay.
50%, adjustable.
Yes.
This
Swipe
is where
up or down with one finger to adjust the value.
Right.
I've actually used this on my Apple Watch. Sorry. Okay.
Have you? Okay.
Yes, to demonstrate.
So what you basically, when you tap on something, it doesn't actually select it. It tells you what it is. So I'm going to go to, we'll go over to VoiceOver Practice. So I tap on VoiceOver Practice.
VoiceOver Practice button.
Tells me that it's a button and it's VoiceOver Practice. Okay, so how do I select it? Well, again, if you look up towards the top.
Voice tip. VoiceOver Practice.
I can't move my
button.
cursor.
Okay.
If you double tap on it, then it activates it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on accessibility in the upper left-hand corner. Let's just tap on it.
Accessibility. Back button.
So I'm going back. It's a back button. I double tap on it.
Accessibility.
It takes me back.
Mhm.
So if I go to my home screen, which I'm not, see, this is where I'm not sure how to get to my home screen.
Home.
There it
FaceTime.
goes. Maybe I have to do it
Double
twice.
tap to open. Edit mode.
Mhm.
So now I want to turn this off. So basically, if I tap on the settings app,
Settings. Double
me
tap
that's
to
the
open.
double tap to
Okay.
open. So I double tap it.
Settings.
Now I need to go to VoiceOver. So I tap on VoiceOver, or actually I would double tap on it. So I'm just going to double tap on it so I don't have to hear. I know what I need to do.
Settings. Settings. Heading.
Oops, didn't go.
Settings. Heading.
Okay, so I tap on it,
Accessibility. Button.
then double
Vision.
tap.
Heading.
So here we are. We're learning as we go. You have to tap on it to hear it, and then you double tap on it to get to it. So I'm going to turn it off. So I tap on VoiceOver at the very top,
VoiceOver. On.
and then I double
VoiceOver.
tap.
On. Double
And
tap
now
to toggle setting.
Go ahead,
Now
Dan.
that VoiceOver is selected, I can double tap on it
VoiceOver off.
to turn it off. So it's a little tricky. And like she has said, you can use this on the Apple Watch as well.
Yes, yes. So I'm assuming that also on the Mac, you have some of the same settings for
Yes,
VoiceOver?
you do. Yep.
Could
you
you
do.
show that briefly? Because that really
Yep.
was Jonathan's specific question.
Yep. So I'm looking at my Mac here, and we go over to accessibility. Here's VoiceOver.
VoiceOver
And-
is completely
Sorry.
different on the Mac.
Yeah, we're going over it right now for you, Jonathan.
And can be used to control the computer.
So basically, now again, I'm using this has been around on the Mac for a long time. So if you're using an older version of Mac OS, it works a little differently. But basically, we just go over to accessibility, and we go over to VoiceOver, and all I have to do is just turn this on, and it turns
Welcome
on.
to VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks descriptions of items on the screen and can be used to control the computer using
So use VoiceOver.
VoiceOver on system settings. VoiceOver window. Table. Accessibility. Selected has keyboard focus.
So I go over.
Appearance.
So I
It's
just click
actually
on them.
working. Yeah, it's actually working pretty much the same, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I just go and turn it back off, and now it's back off. Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, did you have any other specific questions about VoiceOver?
I was just hoping there are a whole lot of key commands in VoiceOver on the Mac that are completely different than on the iPhone. And I was just hoping to get some sort of a pointer to a tutorial or something, because I haven't been able to find a good tutorial for it.
Yeah,
What-
it's a little tricky. I'm
Are
not able to help with that.
Are you on Ventura,
Yes.
Jonathan? Okay. Okay.
So, basically what I did here is I just, open VoiceOver training that could help out. And then the utility is where you have all of the different options. So the verbosity, what the speech is, but yeah, there's key commands in here. There's, so you kind of have to go through these one by one. Here you have enable trackpad commander, the stuff I'm just not familiar with. So I'd rather, here's the key modifier to turn it on and off. But I'd probably give some wrong information.
Jonathan, have you also tried, there is a YouTube channel on accessibility that Apple has. Have you tried looking for that or seen that?
Oh, not a YouTube. I should check that out. Thank you.
Oh,
they
you might
do-
want to check out Gary. I mean, he just covers everything. Gary, I'm going to say it wrong.
Right.
Rosenberg,
He-
Mac
Rosenblatt.
Most.
Yeah,
see
but
he has
Apple
any.
has a specific accessibility YouTube channel.
That'd be your best bet.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome. Okay, all yours, Dan.
All right. So the next thing here is how we can control nearby devices with our iPad or iPhone. So basically the way that this works is we can control our iPad from our iPhone. We can't do the reverse. We can't control our iPhone from our iPad. But let's just say, I'm going to look at both of my devices here. And let's just say that, and that is not showing my phone here. I wonder why not. And let's go here. Camera D. Let's go to iPhone 12. There we are. All right. So on my iPhone, all I need to do, you don't have to do anything on the iPad. Well, first of all, you do need to have Bluetooth turned on both devices. They have to be nearby each other, of course, and they have to be signed in with the same iCloud account. Now, I'm going to assume that this is an iPad OS 16 feature. So if you're using an older version of iPad or iOS, it probably won't work. This is something that I just recently discovered. But that's basically the requirements. Now, you don't have to do anything on the iPad. On the iPad, I'm not going to touch the iPad. But let's say this iPad, I'm watching a movie on YouTube. Let's say I'm watching an accessibility, Apple's accessibility thing on YouTube, and the iPad is sitting on a coffee table somewhere and it's 6 feet away or whatever. I want to turn the volume up. I want to control it, things like that. Well, what we need to do is go over to our settings app. And then under accessibility again, so we go over to our accessibility, you're going to see control nearby devices. Again, you won't see this on the iPad. So I just tap on this, and all I have to do is just tap on this. So we have to tap on it twice, basically. But when I tap on this, it's going to look for all of my nearby devices. There's my iPad. So I just go and tap on iPad here, and there are my controls. Remember that the assistive touch? These are the same controls that's on assistive touch. So if I want to go to the home screen, all I have to do is just tap on the home button here on my iPhone and watch the iPad. I want to open up the control center. I go over here. There's a control center. Tap on again, it closes it. I want to go to the app switcher. That's what these two squares here are, rectangles. I'm looking at the app switcher. Tap on it again to close it. Also, like I said, if let's say you're watching a movie, or we're watching those accessibility movies on YouTube, if this is Siri here, but if we go over to the more, the more button here, you're going to see I have play, pause, volume. So I'm able to turn the volume up on the iPad. Look at the iPad. You're going to see that the volume is turning up. I go volume down. That volume is turning down. I tap on the play. It'll play it, whatever. If I was on YouTube, it would play it. I could pause it. I can go to the next track. I could do this with music, anything like that. So that's basically how you can control your iPad with your iPhone. And I thought that was a pretty neat little trick. Let's just say, like I say, you could have the iPad, sitting away from you and you want to control it. You can go and do that. So I also, I don't have it in the slide, but I thought of this one here. Since with the Apple Watch, we do have gesture control. I just thought of this with this remote control and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Apple Watch here. Let's see here, it should show. All right. So I'm looking at my Apple Watch. And what I would like to do is go to my settings app. So I'm going to go to the settings app here by swiping up. And we're going to go to settings. And I go over to accessibility. There's that voiceover, which Sheeta uses. We have the zoom. You can see I have it turned on here. So what I'm able to do is double tap with 2 fingers. On off labels, grayscale. We have a lot of those same options. Control nearby devices. So I could control nearby devices. There's my iPhone, so I'm able to control my iPhone apparently from my Apple Watch. I did not know that. But we also have, it is in here somewhere. Quick actions, chimes, reduce transparency. Where is it? Maybe it is under. I'm winging it here.
What are you looking for?
Where you can use gestures. Let's go to my iPhone here. You can actually use gestures here. So let's go to accessibility. Might be a little bit easier. On off label, gray screen, text size, bold text removes. Yep. Assistive touch. All right. I was playing with it earlier today. Basically, what you're able to do when the Apple Watch is on your wrist, and it'll do certain things on you, or you go like that, or you pinch, and the Apple Watch will do various things. So let me do a quick. Any questions while I quick research? What's that? Haptics? Yes, that sounds familiar. Thank you. Haptic alerts. I don't see it there, so we're going to go to my Apple Watch and go here. Boom, boom, boom. And sound and haptics. Oh, this Apple Watch, so it's on my, sorry, it's on my Ultra. This Apple Watch apparently doesn't do it. So if you look in that section, you're going to see an option for gestures. And like I said, all you have to do, the Apple Watch can detect what you're doing, and you can go like that, and it'll select different things on your Apple Watch.
Oh, yes. It's in there.
Like that.
It is there, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So apparently it's not available. This is an older Apple Watch that I use for demos, and it's not available on that, but on my Ultra, it is available. And I don't think it's an Ultra only feature. It's been around for.
It's not. It's available on the 8. It's available on the 7 as well.
Okay.
So yeah, but it is recent. It's a recent feature. How old is this Apple Watch that you're using?
I'm not sure. It's probably about 3 years old. I would think it would have it, but I'm not sure why. But this is where it's at.
Yeah, it's there. It's a tricky one though, because depending
it's
on
a tricky
how
one.
Flinch,
it's fun to play around with, but it's
hand,
actually kind of neat. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Any other questions? That's what I got.
Okay, we have 1 minute left. We got time maybe for, actually, we don't have 1 minute left. Time's up. All right, everyone, can you please unmute yourself and thank Dan?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Good effort.
Thank you, Dan.
Good work, Dan. Thank you much.
Come on, Dan.
Dan.
Thank you.